Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the PackBulletin podcast. Today, we are looking at weeks 15 and 16 in the 2024 season for the Green Bay Packers. You know, we're coming off a win in Seattle. Really nice win. We looked good out there. Whole team effort, just defense looked great, which was nice to see. I'm not saying they've looked bad all season, but it was nice to see a good defensive game, like a pretty great defensive game. And offensively, we looked pretty solid. We ran all over them in the first half. Got the throwing game going in the second half pretty well. The air game. It was just a good game and a fun game to watch. One that we won, obviously, 30-13, 17-point win. You'll take that, especially on enemy territory, for a team that people were saying might honestly be the Packers' first-round playoff matchup. Looking like it might not be that way now, but you never know. It's nice to have that under your belt. And let's get into the episode. We're going to start out with the intro here. Roll it.
News, analysis, updates, and more. Your home for Green Bay Packers football. This is the PackBulletin Podcast.
All right, and welcome back. Today, like I said, we're talking about weeks 15 and 16 for the Green Bay Packers in the 2024 NFL season. We're going to start off with taking a quick little recap of the game that we had at Seattle last Sunday night for week 15. And then we're going to go ahead and talk about this coming game that's going to be on Monday night, primetime, at Lambeau Field against the New Orleans Saints. So let's get into the recap of this last game. So, Sunday night brought an exciting Packers win over the Seahawks in Seattle. Amazing, like I said earlier. And it was a game that the Packers never trailed in. We went down and scored after a amazing 5-minute and 51-second drive that Josh Jacobs had the ball. I want to say it was on every single play except one, and I believe that one other play was a Jordan Love rush. So I think it was a running drive the entire time. And Jacobs, like I said, touched the ball every other play except that one. And he punched it across the goal line from the 1-yard line. Took that lead. That's nice. Defense went and held their own, forcing a couple punts. And then we went down and we scored again. Jordan Love found Romeo Doubs on the left hash. And, man, that was a hell of an effort, him just pushing and barreling to get in there. And, whew, that was nice. And we just kept going, a couple drives where we're punting, a couple drives where we did have a couple turnover on downs, but at the end of the day, you're leading, you're gonna push a little bit. My one big thing that I had against the Packers play calling was the end of the first half. I know it would have been risky, but you did have the lead at the time. You were up, I think it was 17-3. I think they should have went for it instead of kicking that field goal at the end, but at the end of the day, 20-3, you'll take that any day, right? Going in a half. So, why not? And another thing, the defense looked good, man. They were getting sacks on Geno Smith left and right. I mean, what was it? We had 7 total sacks. We had 2 interceptions, which was absolutely beautiful. 10 tackles for loss. It was a nice defensive effort, nice defensive showing, which, like I said earlier, was nice to see that our defense can step up and hold teams to minimal points, which we've seen a couple times this year, but it'd be nice to get them to do it more frequently as we head in towards this postseason stretch here. And then the second half, it was a little slower. We didn't really do too much. We only got 10 points out of the second half, but we also only held them to 10 points. So, you trade it off, you're taking a lead and a half, you're going to win the game if you trade the same amount of points. And it was, again, still great defense. To be fair, they had a backup quarterback for most of it. And they didn't have their star running back, Kenneth Walker. But we still looked good. We were getting the quarterback down in the backfield. We were getting tackles for loss. We were getting interceptions. We forced some fumbles. Edgerrin Cooper had a really nice pick to seal the game when he took it out of the air and returned it 22 yards to set up the Packers offense at the Seattle 27-yard line, and this play right here that came up where the Packers scored on that drive was insane. It was a beautiful, beautiful grab by Romeo Doubs, just putting his hands down there, down by his feet in the back of the end zone and snagging that thing, putting that game on ice, your dagger, as Wayne Larrivee would say. Beautiful grab, and it was hilarious. I don't know if you guys saw the post-game interviews or not, but afterwards someone asked him about it. He's just like, yeah, I just caught the ball. He kind of just, he did just catch the ball, but yeah, it was a game that I wasn't ever really stressed about. Like, it was just a good game, going solid on both sides of the field. All three factors, special teams, offense, defense, look good. And I'm going to give my player of the week for that game to Romeo Doubs, and it's mainly because of that game-sealing touchdown grab that he had. I mean, that first touchdown he had was pretty nice, too. Like I said, great effort, just pushing forward, dragging dudes as he crossed the goal line. He gets my player of the week. He had 3 receptions for 40 yards, 2 touchdowns. His longest was 22 yards. He was 3 receptions on 5 targets. And like I said, those 2 touchdowns, I mean, Josh Jacobs had a great game in the first half. The Seattle defense kind of figured out how to stop him in the second half. So that's why I'm giving it more to Doubs, because he just had a relatively productive game all throughout. That was a tough one to choose. It was between Jacobs, Doubs, and Edgerrin Cooper was another one that was at the top of my list when I was looking at players of the week. And with that game done and over with, we get ready to host New Orleans on Monday night at Lambeau Field. It's going to be the 10-4 Packers, 5-2 at home, hosting the 5-9 Saints, who are 2-4 away. The Packers are favored by 14 points in this matchup, and ESPN Analytics gives them an 82.8% chance of winning. Injuries-wise, I'm not going to go over people that are on IR. I'm just going to go over people that are like in the air for now. New Orleans Saints, they have Marquez Valdez-Scantling, former Packer, who actually figured out how to catch the ball now, listed as questionable for this game. They have Derek Carr listed as out and Alvin Kamara listed as out, which should help our defense pretty significantly. And then on our side of the ball, we got Javon Bullard out at safety and Quay Walker out at linebacker. And we have Jair Alexander, questionable, and Evan Williams, questionable. It'd be nice to have Williams back. This is a game that I don't feel we absolutely need Jair back. So if he's like a 50-50 or he's just not feeling like 100%, I'd honestly sit him another week, give him that time to be ready and healthy for the playoffs, because like I said, New Orleans is kind of depleted. Chris Olave's on IR. They don't have their starting quarterback. Spencer Rattler, their now starting quarterback, has been struggling a bit. So that's a game. This is a game where it'd be nice to see number 23 Jair back out there on the field, but it's a game that I honestly don't see one where he absolutely has to be out there. And now that we're done with the injury report, let's go ahead and just kind of take a little preview at the game. Like I said, we are favored by 14 points in this game with a pretty good chance of winning by ESPN Analytics. And we're at home. There's a chance of snow, which is going to be beautiful as I'm going to that game, and I cannot wait. I hope we get that snow globe effect on Monday Night Football. When you look at ESPN Bet, the Packers' money line is minus 1,200, which if you guys don't bet, that means you have to play $1,200 to win $100, and the Saints are plus 700, meaning if you play $100, you would win $700 if the Saints ended up winning. The total, the over/under, is set at 42.5, with the Packers favored by 14, and yeah, the Saints struggling with injuries, and they've struggled just through the entirety of the season pretty much after that hot start that they had at the beginning of the year, just blowing teams up. And I mean, since then they've won 3 out of their last 12 games, and it's not helping them that they're having these big names that are being sidelined with injuries. And for the Packers, we've won 8 out of our last 10 games, And we're seeing one of the lightest injury reports that we've seen all season, which is absolutely beautiful. And, of course, those 2 losses in our last 10 games came against the Lions. But this last game against the Lions, I would say we looked pretty good. We just got outclassed on a couple plays, and that's what it is. It's a game of inches. It's a game of a couple plays, But at the end of the day, the Packers, we're like a red-hot team going into this postseason stretch, and we're getting hot and staying hot right when we need to be. I think it's going to be a good showing for the upcoming weeks, and I think it's going to be a showing that's going to put us in the playoffs, because with a win this week, we will clinch a playoff spot. We don't know what seeding yet. Could be 6 or 5, 6, 7. But with a win this week at home against the Saints, the Packers will clinch a playoff spot, which would be a great way to great early Christmas present. Let's just put it that way. And so we went over injuries, last week's game, this week's game, pretty much everything I wanted to cover in this episode. I'm trying to keep them relatively short and sweet so you guys aren't just sitting here listening to nonsense for an hour. So, yeah, I'd like to thank you for listening, tuning in, and I hope you follow, like, share, and let your friends know about the podcast if you are a Packers fan. Also, go ahead and check out our website, PackBulletin.com. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, or X, and Facebook. All the usernames are PackBulletin, no space. Yeah, again, I appreciate it for tuning in. As always, go Pack Go, baby.